Hey everybody, good morning. I'm Pastor Sam. This is your verse of the day for Gospel Gunslingers. We are rebooted. So this is our all new live format. And I spent a lot of time in the field. I spent a lot of time in the woods. And I'm going to have to turn this other machine down. I spent a lot of time in the field. I spent a lot of time in the woods. I spent a lot of time out of the country doing crazy stuff. So as much as we can, then we're going to do our verse of the day live, and you'll be able to comment, you'll be able to put in questions, and hopefully we'll get to some of those. I'm really trying to keep it to a 5-minute format so nobody's overwhelmed and they're not long lessons. This is something for you to plug into in the morning and just get a little something to carry you through the day. It's like the Africans told me, they call their greens sukumawiki, and what that means is it carries you through the week. So sometimes you need a little strong food to carry you through the week. And that's what we're going to try to do here on the Gospel Gunslingers verse of the day reboot. Today we're in Nehemiah in the ninth chapter. Nehemiah was kind of one of the original gospel gunslingers. The Jews were building the wall. They were trying to rebuild Jerusalem after their captivity. They were having a rough time. Their enemies were stronger than they were coming against them, and they needed a real tough two-fisted lawman and an iron slinging evangelical to come help them out. I was on C-SPAN live not too long ago, and I said, I'm the founder of the Gospel Gunslingers. And the guy goes, the caster, what's a gospel gunslinger? I said, well, what's an iron slinging evangelical? We believe and we sling iron. That's what made America great in the first place, was gospel gunslingers. And a lot of these doctrines that we're going to study were developed in America. They come from the USA. They're uniquely American. The rest of the Americas, down to the southern tip of Chile, decided they'd come on board. They became revolutionaries and evicted the Europeans. Lots of fun that was. But it was our idea. It came from the Puritans. It came from the Mayflower. A lot of those ideals are in the Mayflower Compact. So pretty amazing what our forefathers discovered in the Bible, that for over 1,000 years wasn't known. It was hidden. But the Bible says that this is God's hidden wisdom that is reserved for our glory in the end times. And so standing up for ourselves, that's what our forefathers discovered, and that's what we do. And that's what Nehemiah did. And this chapter 9 of Nehemiah is one of a few places in the Bible where the entire history is dictated of what God's people did, how they came from Abraham. My father was a Syrian ready to die. And then they go on and tell the story. Stephen's famous speech, I believe it's Acts chapter 8, is another one that breaks down the whole story. And also in Judges, I want to say Judges 11, there is another history up till that point of the wars in the lands and what lands were taken by honest conquest and became part of Israel. So you can look at that too. But sometimes the Bible's overwhelming. And if you just start in one of these places where the whole history is laid out in one chapter, then all of a sudden you can begin to hang things on that and it'll begin to make sense to you. We have to break through the curtain and the veil and the covering cast over all nations and the great delusion that's sent from God to delude those that don't really love him and those who are not strong enough and violent enough to come in and take the kingdom by faith. So this chapter 9 of Nehemiah is one of them. And again, I'd advise you to read the whole book of Nehemiah because it is about gospel gunslingers. Feel free to leave a comment or a question here, and I'll get to that in just a moment. But first, let's read our verse, 9:17 Nehemiah. Their forefathers, it says, they and refused to obey, neither were mindful of thy wonders that thou didst among them, but hardened their necks, and in their rebellion appointed a captain to return to their bondage. But thou art a God ready to pardon, gracious and merciful, slow to anger, and of great kindness, and forsookest them not. So Moses tells about how the people of Israel did this. They were out in the wilderness, and when the going got tough, they weren't gunslinger enough, and they decided that they were going to appoint them a captain to take them back into Egypt so they could be slaves again. Oh my God. Let's be free, okay? I know it's hard to be free. Sometimes you're out there in the wilderness and there's briars and scorpions and the heat of day and all of that. But that's why John the Baptist said the kingdom suffereth violence and the violent take it by force. So let's just be those. Let's be those that are strong enough to enter in and do our best to not chicken out and go back to slavery. Because let me tell you, there's a FEMA camp out there with your name on it. And for you to persevere in the dark day, or persevere even when everything's going well and there's all kinds of good TV shows on, you're going to have to be a little bit gunslinger like Nehemiah. So let's not do that. Let's not appoint us a captain and take us back into bondage. Let's continue to fight to be free. All right. Join me tomorrow. I'm going to try to set up a regular time. But as for now, just watch for, please share the links, hit the thumbs up, and tell everybody that we're studying the original doctrines of our revolutionary forefathers, and let's get to it every day as long as we can. All right, thanks for coming out. I'm Pastor Sam, and this is your verse of the day for Gospel Gunslinger.